Hello, I'm Jeff Patterson. We're going to look at the Chuan combat stance today and talk about a few different variations of that and how you can play that and work that into your standing meditation. So mostly what we've looked at, if you've been watching these series of videos that I've put together, is a lot of the health stance meditations. This one is more for the martial applications and learning how to develop power in your strikes and also to have a good foundation for defensive techniques as well. Remember, anytime you're doing a defensive technique, we also want to look for the offensive side of that. So in each one, they look for defend and attack at the same time. And so this posture will teach you how to have a good root, so when you are attacked, you also have the stability to respond or to react to that force coming at you. So let's talk about the basic stance first. So in the basic stance, we're going to turn the back foot out at a 45-degree angle. I like to keep the feet about hip width distance apart and just take a comfortable walking step forward. Now, depending on your knee and hip flexibility or injuries you may have, you might need to adjust that and step a little bit longer or shorter. If you wanted to get more power and really work on the strengthening and conditioning, you could stretch it out and step a little bit longer. But for all practicality and learning how to use this in a martial application, I like to do in about a stance like I would use when I'm playing. And so if I do that, the feet are hip width, back foot's 45, front foot's a comfortable walking step forward. Now, just like with the first embrace tree posture in our first series, if you've been following this video series, the hands come up about eye level with the middle fingers, drop the chest and the shoulders, and my posture, knees are bent. I've got the ability to shift front and back, also up and down. I don't want to be standing with my legs locked out, and you don't want to be too low. You're just kind of in a comfortable sitting posture. The hands come up here and slightly turn to the side. Now, sometimes we'll play this way just to feel comfortable with the stance, but if you turn a little bit to the side, this is more kind of like the martial application here. My focus should be on my center, straight forward. So if I had somebody in front of me, this would be my center line through my hand. This is going to give this a lot of structure and a lot of power, and I should be able to feel that back heel in this hand. So I want to have that connection from the floor to my hands. This is the basic posture. Now you can play this, obviously we do it on both sides. Maybe you stand on one side for 5 minutes, switch the feet, stand on the other side for 5 minutes. Once you feel comfortable here, you can also play it with a stepping. Maybe do 30 seconds, switch, 30 seconds, and just try to feel that connection. You add a little bit of the movement. When you're thinking about the power in each one, we always want to think of the 6 directions. So we have up, down, left, right, front, and back. So at any point in time, I should feel like all 6 of those directions are very powerful and strong. Okay, that's the first posture. The second posture we're going to do is pretty much the exact same thing, but you're going to turn the palms down. And now, just like with the last posture, when you're holding that, the expanding and contracting. Remember, in each one, we're always thinking about opposing forces. So expand and contract. So when you're holding this, it's almost like I'm pulling a bow here. So I hold this posture here, but at the same time, I'm squeezing that yoga ball together. I'm holding it in and have that energy this way. So when I'm doing the standing, I've got those opposing forces here. I've got them here, and I've also got them in and out this way. And also with the spine, bow, front and back. So as you're thinking about all of those connections expanding and contracting, and remember I'm kind of moving a little bit so you can see it, but we want to try to be still and use the mind in those postures. So this is number 1, and this is number 2. Okay. These are the 2 basic Chuan martial postures. Now, as I mentioned earlier with the stance, sometimes we'll practice these where here. And depending on your strength and flexibility, it might only be 3 or 5 minutes here, and then do the other side. And you could do that where maybe you do 3 sets on each side and work on building that power and that strength. The other thing you can do with these postures that adds a little bit more dynamic movement to them is, whether I'm in the low stance or the high stance, whatever hand posture I'm in, is think about sitting down, and this time I'm going to be moving. So as I'm moving in this one, maybe I sit down 1 inch and I stand up 1 inch. But when I stand up, if you look, this is the top point of my stance. I'm never locking that leg out. So I'm going to sit down about maybe 15% of my extension of the leg. And then from that 15% point, now I'll sit down 1 inch and stand up 1 inch. And you could do that for 5 or 10 minutes, or maybe you just count out 100 reps on the right and 100 reps on the left. But you just want to do it very slowly and never pause. Think about the expanding and contracting. Down, up, down. That will help you establish that connection. Sometimes, especially in the beginning, what I notice is people start to get a little tired. They straighten out their legs. They lose their structure. Sometimes with adding a little bit of movement, this will help keep them focused. And start to feel that connection from the floor through the body into the hand. So each one is a very subtle practice. It takes time to see the benefit. Again, you know, you tell somebody who's never done this before to stand, they do it for 5 minutes and they're like bored and they want to stop. But for those of you that have been practicing the internal martial arts for a while, most of you understand the benefits of this. Got to be consistent. If you do this standing meditation, doesn't matter if you're doing Tai Chi, Bagua, Xing-Yi, boxing, Jiu-Jitsu, your stance is going to be a lot more rooted. You're going to learn how to relax under stress more, and you're going to be more aware of the micro movements. And you know, I've been practicing martial arts for 35 years, and one of the things that I see common in multiple different martial arts is that the better you get, the more you learn how to break things down. The standing will really teach you how to break it down. It's very simple. There's not a lot of movement involved. You don't have any of these complex, you know, backside flying arm bars going on. And it teaches you to really listen to the small movements. When you can do that and you understand how to break that down at a finer level and you become more in tune with those micro adjustments, you can use that in any martial art that you do. So it's got a lot of benefits. It takes time to develop. Keep up with your practice. Hope you're enjoying the videos and appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.